indigenous and ancient true Christianity, or Tewahedo Christina, or black Christianity, or that African Christianity that was being practiced throughout the so-called Middle East, Arabia, and all up and down from Egypt to the Horn of Africa. This particular Christianity was being practiced, and the only remaining, you understand, the only remaining element or evidence of this ancient black form of Christianity that predates Roman Catholicism is found in Ethiopia. And now that form of Christianity, especially since the godless and creeping coup of 1974, the rebellion against the King of Kings, the rebellion against the elect of God, against Kedamawi Haile Selassie, we see Ethiopia slipping more and more and more. And it seems like these images are now proliferating, even to the point that, like we said, the image that we have on the right basically is an Ethiopian version of it, and it's very similar if you study both of these. This is, like we said from the beginning and the get-go, we said that this is a very good example right here, what we have before us, of word pictures. How there is so many words to really describe this picture. And if you begin from the left hand, if you look at the left hand picture, which is the Jesuit Virgo Mary, or aka Ashtaroth, aka the Queen of Heaven, you know, and we could go on. We could say aka Jezebel as well. You know, we could put that in as well. But there is so much witchcraft, or more properly, if we were to pronounce the V in the Germanic way, witchcraft. There's so much witchcraft that's, or witchcraft. There's witchcraft that's going on. If you can see the witchcraft, that's no wonder Martin Luther, that great German reformer, you understand, he nailed the 9 or so theses to the papal door. You understand, and he jet. And what did and how did they get back on the so-called, for them, the straight and narrow way? It was to get back to the glory of God, the Bible. Get back to the Bible. You understand? Because they began to recognize that a lot of the practices that Roman Catholicism had nothing to do with Jesus Christ. So therefore, how can we not take that testimony as being a true testimony, and seeing and knowing that the original image of Mariam, the black virgin, or the black maiden, Mariam, because Kedist, Malet, Tikura, Kedus, holy, Kedist, female, holy, that's the real blackness coming from the root, the Coptic and the ancient Egyptic and Kamite and Kushite hermeneutic, how we interpret holiness. Because if you look at what holiness meant to the ancient Egyptians and the ancient people, I've called my son out of Egypt. The son comes with the mother, and that's the son and the mother right there, the oldest representation of the Kedist and Mariam, you understand, or the black maiden Mariam. So we say Dingil is maiden. They say Dingil is virgin or Virgo for a reason, a very important reason in the constellation, you know what I'm saying? But she's not the true one. That Virgo or Venus is the Lucifer, the Luke cipher. You understand? And Luke cipher is what? Lucifer. See, a lot of people don't recognize that Lucifer in the beginning was originally a fallen female entity, a fallen feminine being. You understand? Ain't that something? The devil is a bitch. You know, the devil's a bitch. You understand? The devil's a bitch. Understand that. Now we can make that and see that the big picture connection now. But if we study for the witchcraft in this particular picture, it is deep. Now when we now look at the Ethiopian picture, because there is some knowledgeability, you understand, among the Ethiopian painters who obviously use the Jesuit, the Borgia. We call this the Borgia family. We can also call the Borgia family Mary, who is actually said to be Lucretia. You understand? I think we have a picture of her too. You can look that Lucretia. Lucretia, ain't that something? Lucretia sound like Lucretia, but Lucretia, are we pronouncing that right? Lucifer, Lucretia. You understand? The sister of, I believe the sister, but she's part of the family of the Borgias, so the sister of the one who posed for your popular image of the God that wasn't there, the Jesus Christ that never existed, the whitewashed Jesus that never existed, which really was a member of one of the Pope Alexander VI family. So both his sons and his daughters pose for the people, and the other people in the family pose for people in the Bible. So just think about that for a moment. That form of mind control, that and all the subtle ramifications that are really too many to list. But we once again refer you to Frances Cress Welsing's ISIS paper, The Key to the Colors. It's very important, where she breaks down symbology. She breaks down white supremacy. You understand different symbols that are used. You understand? So when you understand symbolic logic and really can now read this picture in a symbolist, etymological sort of way, you understand what the angels have in their hand. You understand why she's holding the child's hand, why the child looks like a really big boy in a sense. How come in the Ethiopic version that was jacked from the Jesuit version, what is kind of interesting is that the child is still holding his hands out just like the original, you understand, similar to the original black maiden Mariam. How the child in the Ethiopic version is holding a Bible, just like we find in some of the older original Ethiopic black versions of it. How the angels are not holding the same kind of instruments, the instrumentality. One is holding like two spikes of some sort, and the other is holding a cross. But we see different symbology, you understand, within the angels of the Ethiopic. You understand? How Kadistan Mariam in the more modern Ethiopic Yesusawi version, Yesusawit version, you see our hands are folded over and how she's holding that cloth. And in the other black versions, so you can see that it took some of the style but added different substance to the Ethiopic version, and that on a level must be applauded. But then to still see these two pictures running side by side in many of the so-called Beta Christian is not helping the Reformation. That still shows that one is still in the disobedience and hasn't destroyed, you understand, the idols of the heathen and pagan neighbors, other Christian countries that deal with Luciferianism mixed in with their Christianity, such as the Roman Catholic Church. So this is a point that we wanted to make on this, because this was really on our mind for a while, and we had to find these two pictures and just try to line them up side by side, because we seen them together as separate pictures, like on our desktop, but we wanted to put it together like this in a format so that ones can really see it better and ones can really articulate on it better. You know what I'm saying? But to get into the levels of the detrimental effects that this has on black women, first of all, this image has a negative effect on Ethiopian and black women. It affects their self-esteem, you understand, their maternal roles to mother. It does affect that. I'm not saying that the Ethiopian woman can't mother because it's a picture, but it has psychological effects that in different people depends on their vulnerabilities. You know what I'm saying? Their particular vulnerabilities, it affects different ones in different ways. You know what I'm saying? And it really should be avoided. You understand? This image really should be destroyed. You understand? And if one's have it in some books or other things, it should be replaced over. You understand? Basically, it should not be used. You understand? It's evil people that design this image to reflect their evil genes spiritually, to deify themselves. You understand? Where they kind of copied the latter period, the Platonic period of Egypt, where the native Egyptians taught the Greco-Romans, you understand, taught them how to deify themselves. Not because this is what the natives wanted to, but that's what the Greco-Romans had certain priests do for them, teach them the mysteries and other things. So now they took these things over into the Roman Catholic Church. So when we come down now to the Pope Alexander VI, we see that one son posed for the Jesus Christ that never existed, the God that wasn't there, and then his daughter Lucretia, or Lucifer, you understand, basically posed for this picture, or the Jesuit Virgo Mary, you understand, the Virgo Mary, a.k.a. the Ashtaroth, you understand, and it's this image that like buho, like yeast,